Apologize. I had to offload Instagram. It wasn't letting me do anything today.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
My bad. Figure it out, Instagram.
Hey, you're up in the Bay Area too. So I mean, like, you're real close. You got some conspiracies going on.
Bro, it's 45 miles away. The fact that the server ever shuts down, like should never happen. 45 miles away. Not even that far. Like, I could take I could take Amtrak and get there by 8 o'clock in the morning from 6 a.m. Like, it's not hard.
Not hard. Figure it out.
I'm hot this morning, dude. I'm so hot.
I know. I didn't even get a chance to read your to watch your video. I'm catching up on a couple things, and you're coming in. You are ready.
So here was something. I got hit with a few conundrums the other day that I was just like I blinked my eyes like that dude in the meme, where he was like, wow, okay. So number one, I was having a conversation with like a 9-year-old kid, and I put it on my post today if you guys want to check that out. And he hit me with this thing that he said that really threw me off. He was like, I was like, why do we come to hitting class? He goes, well, because it's fun. I was like, yeah. And I'm like, but we come so we can get hits. He goes, yeah, but my coach says it's okay to get out. And I'm like, so why do you come to hitting class? And he was kind of like, I didn't want to make him feel like that, but I was just asking him a question. Then why are you here? And he didn't know what to say. And I was like, is it more fun getting hits or is it more fun getting out? Right? And the kid, obviously, it's more fun getting hits. And I was like, that's why we come to hitting class. And that's why we want to focus on these little things. And it made me think, I'm just like, now, what he said is 100% right. At the Little League level, a kid needs to focus on having fun and hitting the ball. I totally understand that. But at the same time, you're not allowing that kid to figure out how to win the game, right? By just telling them, hey, just go up there, put the bat on the ball. Okay, but like, how do I get a hit, coach? Like, how do I do that? Well, you got to hit it past the infielders, right? A lot of the kids, you know what they do? Hit it on the ground because the kids can't freaking field, right? Guess what that does? By the time you're 12 years old, you don't know how to play baseball. You don't. You know how to hit the ball in play, and for some kids, that's great, right? But I've seen some kids that want to play high school baseball, and like, it breaks my heart seeing them. They're like, yeah, I'm 14. Next year, I'm going to go play high school baseball. They can't hit a ball 150 feet. And I'm like, man, where'd you play at? Like, all this other stuff. And then you see, now that I'm working with these kids, some of them are starting to develop, toot my own horn there. But it really just makes me think, like, it would almost be like a boxing coach. What are the first 2 rules of boxing? Hit, don't get hit.
Yep.
It's like we're teaching the kid the second rule first. Don't get out. It's like, but why? Like, it's okay. Like, it's okay if I get out. You just said it. So, like, shouldn't the goal be to get hit? So how do I do that? And so I've just been in this mindset lately of just like, how do we avoid this happening? How do we avoid these kids going like, because if I were to get into the ring, right? We all know, if you know me, I'm training and I'm trying to get into fighting shape. Injuries keep fucking happening and making me mad. But if I were to go into a ring and just try to not get knocked out, I'm going to lose.
Yeah.
100%. I'm going to get hurt and I'm going to lose. Okay. So when I hear coaches just talk about, hey, choke up, put it in play, that's great. But you missed 2 strikes ago when you should have told them, hey, swing as hard as you can. Or what I know you hate, and I talk about how much I hate this. You see a kid look over to like the third base coach, and the third base coach, he does this. And all that. And then he goes, hey, keep your hands inside the ball. See it deep. All this stuff. And it's like, now he's fucked. That kid's not going to think of the at-bat anymore. He forgot everything because you just made him a mechanical person.
Huge thing right here, okay? Huge thing. I remember being 13, 14, 15, somewhere in a pre-college situation, maybe even in a high school game, and hearing the coaching from the third base coaching box, almost telling them what pitch I was going to throw and being like, because you got the whole, hey, sit back, be ready. And it's like, I can hear you. I can literally hear you. I'm like, okay. I'm just gonna blow a heater inside and watch what happens.
Right.
And just
Because you're sitting back.
Yeah. All right. Right. Hey, be on time. Be early. Okay. Like
Curveball.
What?
Here we go.
Yeah. Like what? What are you talking about? And we have a lot of these people that, the coaches, right? I keep asking these questions, right? Like it's my favorite thing to do right now with these parents. And I get, for all you guys out there that coaching issues and just people in general, are going to have issues where communication is going to break down and it's not going to work. And you're going to, and ultimately you have to understand that you are throwing the ball, you are throwing the bat, right? So the coach isn't even playing the game. He's not playing the game. So you can't necessarily rely on his instruction completely because he cannot swing the bat for you, right? You have to educate yourself and understand what your abilities are. Like, what's your best ability? What's your best move? We always talk about, Mortal Kombat and one-on-one basketball and how there are moves and combos and things that happen with that, right? And if you just understand the game that's happening in front of you and don't rely on his information so much so and watch Major League Baseball and learn from the best ever. Like, there's just so many things we could go down in on this right now. So you know what I mean?
Tons and tons. That's why we're here. That's why we're talking about winning baseball games, right? And if you guys want to check my post out, please do. Share it, like it, all that fun stuff. But the main thing is, I get hit with some of these things that these kids say, and I just want to be like, who told you that? Like, who led you down that path? Because I know it didn't come from our facility where I work at, right? And it didn't come from my mouth. But just some kids, like, this has nothing to do with baseball, right? But I had a kid tell me the facility not yesterday, but a couple of weeks ago, serious conundrum. He goes, I don't want to work too hard because it'll be hard for me to fall asleep. And I was just like, what? Like, what is happening? So I think it's kind of where we are in our day and age. It's like, we're almost expecting, like, I got into an argument a couple of years ago with an alumni of a school that I was at because I called the coach out that I had just played for calling out a pitcher on our team. He essentially said, this kid essentially said, like, it was a personal thing that he said about himself, but it was in context of, like, the team, right? And he was basically saying, like, man, I wish more guys would, like, wake up and go to the gym more often. We'd probably be in a better spot, right? Like, just guys that want to work hard, right? Work harder, guys. That's all. That's all he said, right? And the coach literally said, it's not about you. And I was like, what are you talking about? And so I tweeted back at him, and I was like, hey, bro, this dude actually plays on the field. You just make the lineup card. It's not about you or your Twitter. He deletes the tweet, right? This was several years ago, right?
Ooh,
This is the same coach that I told to F off because a week prior, I showed up early, 30 minutes early on a snowy practice day. It's 20 degrees out in West Virginia, right? Guess what? Good players show up early to practice. Guess what? Good coaches show up early to practice, okay? I'm there 20 minutes early. A good coach is there 15 to 10 minutes early. He didn't show up till the time of practice. And I remember I texted him, like, hey, I'm a little early. When are you coming? He just said, I don't care. And I was like, all right, bro. I see how it is. Okay. And so that man, right, he is in charge of a Division II baseball team, right, and still there, right? And I remember there was this player that was kind of defending him, but he said what you said, but he didn't say it in the right way. He said, it's on the player to develop. It's not the coach's job. And I just said, then why do we have coaches? Why don't we just have player coaches then? Like, what's the point? Like, if a coach is just there to make up a lineup card, I could have the smartest player on the team do that. So why do I need a manager? Because he's supposed to manage things, right? And so it makes me think that we're not teaching the game anymore. We're teaching the actions, right? And that's what you and I talk about. It's like the idea of so-and-so throws 97, but homeboy doesn't care, right? Because it's flat. And you saw that happen in real life, right? And what gets happened? The dude gets taken deep because he doesn't know how to play the game the right way. He just knows how to do an action, right? So I feel like in order for baseball to evolve where they are right now, and I say they as like everybody that plays baseball, I think we have to do what you were talking about, that Mortal Kombat, that one-on-one idea, because that's what it is. It's pitchers and hitters, right? Like, my favorite player in baseball right now is Chad Pinder. I think the dude plays 9 positions for the Oakland A's. Dude plays everywhere. You know what I mean? So, oh, hello. What's going on, guy?
Brady Jocelyn, hitting director at CUTTERNATION.
Hitting director at CUTTERNATION.
So we're in our How to Win a Baseball podcast, episode 2. You steal my hat?
No, this is my hat.
Stole the hat.
No, this is mine.
We got some sick. Yo, check out Guam's national hat.
Here's the OG colors.
Is that a sailboat? That's pretty rad. That's pretty rad. You know, Guam loves baseball. Guam has been involved in baseball for forever.
Shout out grown man Ethan Lozama showing up.
Hey, can we talk about your boy that just signed to the Angels? Let's talk about that.
Taylor Ahern.
Let's talk about how a guy goes from developing into winning baseball games. Let's talk about that.
Mr. Taylor Ahern, super proud. Maybe 2.5 years ago, he and I started working together. He approached me in the gym just because I was a baseball-looking dude. And his words, not mine. And
you do look like that, though, 100%.
Walker, I mean, it's intentional. I want to attract people. I got him hook, line, and sink, big guy. So anyway, we start working. We play catch one day. First thing I noticed is just a lot of hand pronation, and running out of the hand. And he was having tricep pain like I did, and which that was the same thing I was told to do. And so I remember just really playing catch with him, and we just went outside to a field and started throwing, and I started introducing these ideas to him. And the more we did it, the more he was kind of buying into it. And then we sat down and talked about how he needed to get over 95. That actually should be the first goal. Get over 95 before you even worry about playing again. And the first 3 or 4 months, I think we got to 90, 92 or something like that, somewhere around there. And then it just, he started playing and then went to indie ball and just kept developing. And as soon as he got back from his COVID season, which he played a whole full season in COVID, which is crazy. And we got back to it. He took a week off and we got back to training, and he put up some really good numbers and signed with the Angels first 10 days. First 10 days of
he had
season.
2 appearances with the
I think
Milkmen?
3. Three appearances, and then he's gone. Yeah, and one wasn't even supposed to happen. And I think on that one he gave up a tank, right? Yeah, his last out. No, last one or the one before?
The one in the middle wasn't supposed to happen because it was extras.
Oh, yeah, the one in the middle was extras or something like that. And he came in and just, did his thing. Just whatever. Couple zeros. Let's just keep this extras going.
Where was he in the COVID season?
He was Milwaukee. They won the championship.
Oh, he was with the Milkmen. Oh, so he probably knows my friend Dan, maybe. Friend Dan Ward, one of the strongest human beings I've ever seen in my life. Light tower power.
What's his name?
Dan Ward.
Okay, so that's whoever we refer to on this podcast as somebody that's strong. We need to go above or below Dan Ward. Okay,
dude. Okay, can I just tell Danny Chips Ward? If you watch this, bro, this guy had forearm muscles where he did this thing one time, and it looked like a baseball came out. It was crazy. 6'4". 235. It looks like Stipe Miocic, kind of not the face, but the body.
Yeah,
dude, I got to get up and show you this one. I was catching one time, right? And I got a slider. This guy's a big slider guy. Here's the plate. I'm over here. It's 0-2. Dan goes out in front. Bink, 400-foot home run, just like this. Boom, finishes like that. Flips the bat, and he touches home plate. And I was like, "Can you apologize to him, because you have no business ever doing that." That is the craziest thing ever.
That's funny.
In batting practice, I saw him hit one over the lights with a wooden fucking bat. Oh, just amazing. Sorry, but let's talk about developing this guy. So why was 95 step one?
Well, he was with the Red Sox. He got released, and when I was asking him, just like I did to myself, when I was trying to figure out how to where, if you can look at yourself objectively like a video game character, you can better understand where you're missing. Like you have to be able to be really transparent on like what you're good and what you're bad at. And the trend of velo, I think 2 years ago, average velo was like 92.3 or something like that. And now it's like 93.8 or something like that. But it's also because people are intentionally throwing a lot more fastballs. The game in the 80s and the 90s is changed a lot. And so it's interesting to see how things are going. But, one of the things that Taylor always had with his fastball, once we got him to get more behind the ball, because he's kind of like a 215. He's like 215 on the slot with his finger path, right? And his arm slot and the path to which he comes across the ball. So the spin he gets on the ball on his four seam's nuts. Like he throws a snake pretty much. It's got 14 to 19 inches of movement depending on how he rips it. Yeah. So it literally is just coming like, yeah, it's crazy.
So your plan of attack was your fastball is one of your best weapons. Let's really weaponize that and then work from there.
No. We had to hack the game. You got to get to the speed where you get people's attention. That's the whole. It doesn't even matter about your breaking ball or your location. You have to get to the level. You have to get to the field of play that requires you or allows you to be on the field. And if you're not throwing 95, they don't care.
Say what you just said again. You said what did you say about the you got to get to the velocity that people want to watch or something like that? That's important.
You got to get to the velo that allows you to play the game. Like if you don't throw hard enough, they don't want you on the field.
That's true. It's very, very true. Man, that's
so he already had other stuff, and that's what I told him. I was like, well, if you go to indie ball and you're another guy throwing 88, 92, like you're just wasting your time. So we need to get to 95, 97, whatever the cap is as soon as possible, especially since at that time he was 23. So we had a lot of time. So now he's 25, ton of time. I think he was up to 96 in his first couple outings and throwing the snake. And that's not even, he also he took my cutter and really ran with it and he created his own identity with the thing and now understands how to move it in and out, front door it, back door it, run it off, sink it. There's a bunch of different things you can do with the cutter and how it spins to make the ball move different directions. So, it's really cool to watch him take these ideas and then apply them to himself and then go out there and we do a lot of stuff, breaking down hitters, evaluating cheating tendencies, just going after the offensive strategy of situations. He had 7 months of live ABs. We calculated 28 weeks, 7 months of live ABs before he showed up in the season, which kind of brings me to another interesting thing. I'm not sure if you saw this, but the Padres went to a 6-man rotation because of Lamet. And now I'm saying, why not go to a 7? Why not go to a once-a-week day protocol like they do in Japan, where because Japan only plays 6 games a week and they have Mondays off, then everybody has a day. So if everybody's on a day and you go a full 7-day rotation, you give yourself an extra day of rest or maybe 2, injuries are going to plummet. And then you can really ride guys' velos on what you're doing. Now, does that put the bullpen in a shortened situation because you got to take one guy out to move over there? Maybe. But also, if you go a little more old school and go the other way, where it was a 4-man rotation where they didn't even throw bullpens, it was just like throw, rest, play, catch, throw. Like that was just how it worked, So, there's a bunch of things that are happening inside the game where things are changing, and a guy like Taylor that can come out of the pen multiple days in a row, throw 4 or 5 innings in relief if you need him to, or start is kind of turning into this utility pitcher idea where guys aren't being pigeonholed. I mean, if you're a 1-inning guy nowadays, especially with the 3-batter rule, like you're not going to make it. You got to have 6 pitches to like put on paper, even if you're only going to use 3 or 4, right? Because these guys got to look at the scouting report. I saw this the other day. Someone came in. Who was it? It was the Dodgers game. Whoever came in the Dodgers playing recently, They brought in a reliever. They cut to the dugout. The hitting coaches had 3 iPads. It was so obvious that they were looking at video of what the guys' pitches were. It was so obvious, right? And the guy's hitting, and he's looking, right? And then he's looking at another iPad, and I bet you that was some kind of like tendency chart, right?
Yeah.
Some kind of video game. Yeah. Here's what he likes to throw in this count. Here's what he likes to throw. Here's what, and then I bet you there was another one was like, here's what you did after the guy. Because that's how they're doing it. They're categorizing all this stuff. Hey, last time you faced him, he got you on a breaking ball. I don't remember that. Can I see it? Like, yeah, sure. Here you go. Beep, beep, beep. Bam.
I'm looking up right now. The other day I was watching it's funny you say that. I was watching Ohtani about to hit, and they changed the pitcher right before he went up to hit, right? Oh, I like that question from 5 Tool Coach. So
what? Both.
Both. Yeah. But you need both. You need both.
That's what I'm saying. But you can't say movement versus weight. Like, it doesn't. You have to be able to do everything. You have to get stronger. You have to throw more. You have to increase your capacity. You have to increase your health. You have to increase your range of motion. So, like, just trying to categorize it in 2 things, movement versus weight. Like, I'm assuming you mean like working on movement technique and like lifting weights. Like, that's the same thing. It's just
they are, but they're also not. So let me hit you with a little discrepancy here. So what I think movement is the ability to go play pickup sports. That's movement. Because you're not focusing on a 2-dimensional space where we're focusing on, isometrically or eccentrically or concentrically. You're just moving. And that's what I think baseball is. But I think you also have to know how to move weight. You know what I mean? Like, I think that, like, and this is so weird. Like, the other day, I had this idea of, like, we didn't used to lift weights, and guys still played in the NFL and were fucking huge. These guys were massive, but they moved better. And I think it's because I think people need to be a little bit more conscious about what they eat, how they sleep, and how much they actually move. Because I think that produces more results than people think. I think the weight room really helps. I think moving weight really helps because it's been proven, stress the nervous system, you're going to get you're going to get results that are going to reproduce all the time. But I think one thing that movement doesn't do that weights really does is it teaches how to stress the nervous system to the point where the nervous system has to change. Like, that's the point of lifting weights, is to stress stuff so they change, so they adapt, right? That's really important. Like, the weights make your body stronger because what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You know what I mean? So, like, in order for Taylor to know what 95 feels like in his body, he has to know what that drive of 95 is. You know what I mean? Like, he has to know what, like, is. That's totally different. Like, you can sprint as much as you want, but to create that amount of force, I haven't met anybody that knows how to create that amount of force without lifting weight. So, like I don't know anybody like, Bob Feller? They used to say Bob Feller. What?
Hold on.
What?
How are the Cubans doing it?
I don't know. I think they play a lot of sports, and I also feel like they work out a lot. I really do.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, when he says movement versus weight, when I say the same thing, I mean, it's like a combination.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
You can't say, like, I could see how you could, like, try to plan your day and be like, all right, I'm going to work on this. Maybe I'm going to do some dry work and then lift weights and then do, play basketball or something like that. I could see that. But, like, saying it versus, that's the only thing that I'm like, especially after now, it's like, why not do everything and find out what works best for you? I mean, you could compare some back leg techniques, whether you're going to be like a drop and drive guy or, a triple extend guy or, a knee drop, long stride, short stride, fast stride, a kicker. There's just so many different things. It's just, when it comes down to it, just like you said, you have to be able to feel it. And that's what running guns and, he couldn't even, funny thing, he actually, his first year that we trained, and we joke about it, he couldn't do a running gun. His brain just couldn't get into the footwork. we actually had to like flip him a ball like an outfielder for him to be like catch, ha, and just like do
Yeah,
it.
and that's the movement portion.
He couldn't
you know
run
what I
with
mean?
his hand. Yeah, he
Yeah.
couldn't run with the ball in his
Yeah.
hand. And so, you know, it's I understand what you're saying. You know, I just think it's just a lot easier.
I still lift weights. I still squat. You know, like I still do the things but I do them in a sense of like, we talk about it. I'm not going to bore you, but I do it the way I do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think that's,
well, I mean, any idea should expand, right? Like just like
Oh,
I was
yeah.
saying with me, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily like back squats anymore, but I do like a front loaded step back lunge, which is basically
Right.
a squat, right? It's just harder, but also easier. If that makes sense to anybody, you know, it's a safer, because I think what it comes down to, I mean, I tweaked my SI multiple times trying to deadlift 500 pounds or squat 50 or whatever it was, right? And looking back on it, it's like, well, what was the goal? Was the goal just to like be able to be under heavy shit, or was the goal was like just get my legs stronger? Well, why don't we just get my legs stronger faster? You know, I think that's, you know, one of the things that we try to push here is like, it's a speed of development thing as well. It's speed of development, right? So the more we're doing,
what do you mean by that?
Well, how fast can you get to 95?
That's
Like
what I thought you meant.
It's not get to 95. It's hey, you have a finite amount of time that your athleticism is at its peak, allegedly. Right? I'm 35. I don't understand this. Everybody keeps telling it. Apparently, your athleticism drops somewhere around here. Somewhere in this
Yoel Romero would beg to differ.
Right.
Yoel Romero is 43 years old and looks like a god.
Right, exactly. And then there's people like that. And then the people that I played with that were the same thing, that were 39, 40 years old and, you know, looked like they fell off a statue, you know?
Mm-hmm. So here's to go with, like, not to stay on the movement and the weight thing, but just to incorporate those two things. You need movement in order to get to the ranges of motion that you need, but you need weight to understand how to create tension. Like 100%. Like, and one of the things that I really disagree with right now is having any tension in your core mentally. Like, you shouldn't ever have to go and like squeeze your core. I really disagree with that, because I've watched MMA for a really long time, and I've seen a lot of people get knocked out, and I've never seen anybody go, huh, huh. That's the guy that gets knocked out 100% of the time. So I think the idea of having like a loose core, so like pal-off presses, a lot of planks, like that's not what we want. We want to have the ability to create tension in our core, but it's just like what you said. Isn't the goal to have a fast core that can just create tension, not this. If you're a wrestler, sure, you need that. You're a jiu-jitsu guy, sure, you need that because you got to hold positions and not move. But when you're trying to throw 95 like Taylor Ahern, you need as much movement quality as you can in order to hit that. But if you don't ever move weight, you're never going to know the requirements in your mental state to fucking and that's pretty much how I would say that in a nutshell. I think that that's super important. I don't think people, and that's another thing with kids. Like one of the things that I think about with kids is that I wish that in PE they learned how to throw medicine balls. Like in a variety of ways. Chest pass, keg toss, fucking behind, like all of the ways that they could throw and move and like do all that stuff. I think that's really valuable. Like, kids love throwing medicine balls. Whenever I do that in class, the kids are like, let's go! They get so fired up because they just get to throw shit.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's something that has to, I think, take place in order for hitters to really get better. I think you have to know how to create tension and throw shit. You know?
I agree. Create tension and throw shit.
That's really valuable. Like, it's
awesome.
really, you don't want to be this loosey-goosey fucking yoga guy that's like hella bent. Like Barry Zito. Oh my God. Barry Zito, like, he made yoga his sports performance. What? Like, you did what? that's the downside of movement. When you just do movement, you throw 83.
And it went down. It just because he didn't show up throwing 83.
Showed up throwing 90 with the greatest wrinkle of all time. And then, you know, he just, I don't know what happened. Dude, I remember when I was a kid watching that dude play, like, oh my God. Like, he was Clayton Kershaw before Clayton Kershaw because of that big hook. But I remember finding out he did yoga, and I was just like, man, that seems really good, but, like, you're so flatty. Like, you don't have that, like, that tension. And then you look at a guy like Aroldis Chapman, who is, and it's like, he throws 103 all the time. So, yeah, there's probably a balance somewhere in between there, right? Hey, who's your favorite baseball player of all time? I got asked that yesterday.
It's just easy for me because, I mean, it's an obvious one, but it's only because I sat this close to the television screen every time he pitched. But Greg Maddux for me was by far throwing butterfly balls up there every time I'm watching TV on TBS. Just
he had all 4 pitches, but he knew how to throw each one like 4 different ways.
I know, but
like,
I can show you.
So
okay, you can't even say 4 pitches on him because I can show you video and I'd go, "What's that pitch?" And you'd be like, "I don't know." You'd be like, "I don't know." I'm like, "Me neither. I don't know." I don't know what that does. How do you do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I got asked that yesterday, and I was just thinking, I was like, well, and it has to do with this podcast. It was like, I'm a real big fan of winners. Like, whenever somebody would say Peyton Manning's the greatest quarterback of all time, I was like, he's won 1 Super Bowl, dude. Like, and, you know, Tom Brady. And people would always be like, but the defense and the offensive line. I was like, who did Tom Brady have on defense? Patrick Chung was like his best player, right?
Patrick Chung,
right? Who is that? Do you know who that is?
I know who that is.
Exactly. That's like one dude on their team. Teddy Bruschi was their other guy, and he had a fucking stroke. So he was gone. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so what's the excuse, right? So
he had a stroke.
He did. I hate to say it. He's a beautiful man, and he talks well, and he's awesome. But like, the dude had a stroke. First of all, had a stroke, comes back and plays football again. Like, whoa. So to go further with that, you said the other day, Mariano Rivera threw 1 pitch, and in a postseason, he's a Cy Young. 162 games. More people have walked on the moon. And I remember whenever I would watch the Yankees play on TV, and Mo was pitching, I dropped everything, and I was just like this. Yep. It was like watching it. It was honestly like watching like a dancer. Like, it was just, everything was beautiful. He's like, I'm going to put this cutter, I'm going to move it like that much, and then I'm going to make the next one go like that much, and then the last one's going to move like that.
Mm-hmm.
And breaking bats, making guys look bad. Enter Sandman comes in. Like, that dude, in my opinion, you talk about the 7-man rotation, I think that would actually help guys like Mariano out. Because when you have a 5-man rotation and you have a limited bullpen, I think of the long relievers are the unsung heroes of the baseball world because they're Taylor Aherns. They're these weird hybrids of like, I can throw 100 pitches, but they don't like me to go over 45. You know what I mean? Like, it's just very strange. But if you add a 7th person, you take out the long reliever in terms of the position, but now I have 2 starters relatively that are on 4 days rest, 3-4 days rest. They can come in, get some work, act like a long reliever, help us set up Mo, right? Or help us set up our setup guy, our 7th, 8th, 9th guy, and now the game's over. Because the Rays broke baseball when they threw Sergio Romo out there, and they won the first inning, I don't know how many times, and they won the game. Because they realized, hey, if you win the first inning, the odds of you winning the game are really high. Really, really high.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that when you have an excellent closer, that is what really ends the game. But you have to have a starter that gives you that lead, right? So they really have to complement each other. Like, those are the two most important positions in pitching. The guy who starts off the game and the guy who ends the game. And I think winning a game comes from the idea of symbiosis across the board. The Rays were so symbiotic. Like, Sergio Romo looked like, hey, I could throw you 1 through 9 innings, and every time he's going to be like, yep, because he understands, right? And then you go see the guys like the Mariners, right, who seem to not have an idea that they are a team coming together. Sometimes it looks like they're a bunch of individuals just trying to play launch angle and StatCast and all this shit. But then you watch the Rays with a $60 million payroll beat the Yankees in the ALCS, and you're like, yo, what are these guys doing? They're trying to win games. That's all they're trying to do. They don't care about cash. They don't care about Hall of Fame. They're trying to get a lot of these. And that's the point of the game. Sure, I want to get rich. That'd be great too. But guess what? Would you rather have all the idea of like, dude, I actually was a winner, or I got paid a lot? A lot of people will take the payment, but like, I think you ask a lot of 12-year-olds, you flash back those big leaguers when they're 12, it's like, hey, do you want to win or be rich? A lot of them would probably say win. A lot of them would be like, okay, I want to win, you know? So it seems like we've lost sight of that. Like, and I hate throwing shade at pro baseball players because they're a lot better than I am. They're a lot richer than I am. But it seems like we've lost the idea of the game is meant to inspire other people to play, right? It's meant to make people want to get better at things. And I feel like what we're seeing now is not that. Like, I don't feel inspired when I watch a baseball game right now. Like, you know, it just seems like, okay, there's a shift up. You had 2 fastballs outside. You could have just gone the other way with it. Nope, you're trying to be big boy ball here. Strike out. Next guy comes up, does this. It's like, it's this crazy idea that all these, I don't know what it is, but like the developmental path of our baseball players seems to be more focused on them and not winning the baseball game.
Good. I like it.
It's crazy. Like, it would be like me teaching a fighter how to look cool instead of winning the fight. It's really dangerous. But baseball's not dangerous, so people can kind of half-ass it.
You could equally say it's dangerous, just in a
it is, but it
right?
is, but
like,
it's not like that dangerous. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Well, it's, you know, we talk about this. You and I talk about this all the time. You know, people send me, you know, side angle pitching mechanics all the time, and the first thing I ask them is, where'd the ball go? Like, what was the result? And they're just not even. I want to know if I did it right. Where did the ball go? You know, and I'm sure you get the same thing with the side angle swing. Like, how's the swing look? Where'd the ball go? You know, like, it's a math problem. The swing plus the ball angle coming in equals, where does it go?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the result of that math problem it's not put together. Which is why we have so many sons of big leaguers that are in the game, because it's like, yeah, I'll just do what Dad did. Dad explained the strategy to me. That's weird.
That's
you know?
weird.
That's weird. That's weird. You can go look at video of Fernando Tatis Sr. going oppo with 2 hands, just like Junior's doing right now, and be like, that's the same guy. That's the same idea. Somebody taught him to do it. So, you know, there's just a bunch of, baseball's a cool game because it's not, you know, everybody's talking genetics and talent and all that stuff, but I think it comes down to information. It's information. Who gets the best information that knows it's going to work the longest? And those are the guys that normally play the longest.
Because the guys that have the most information make the best decisions for themselves.
And have the most experience in the fight.
Right? Like, what Taylor did, 7 months of live at-bats, is single-handedly, and this is my opinion, and you and Taylor did more of the work, I think that probably set him up for years of success, because he just drilled in programs, just like, okay, fastball, foul tip, okay, change up, bop, 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 and he just programmed and programmed and programmed. Now he has all these game plans in his head, right, for what you and I both know is a variety of hitters you could face. Lefty, righty, tall, short, big, skinny, big home run hitter, base hit. Like, all of that matters, but all of it came from the idea of, like, I'm going to get these guys out. Not like I'm going to look sick on these pitching mechanics, or I'm going to throw this plyo ball as hard as I can, or whatever it is. It's, I'm getting you out. I didn't get you out. All right, I'm going to try it again. I got you out this time. That's how I do it. Oh, didn't work that time. Let me try this. Like, that's the game, you know, like that's what it is. But when you just have a kid, you know, hey, put it in play. Don't get out. Put it in play. It's like, he's 12, bro. Like, he wants to play high school baseball, and you're telling him to put him in play. Where when he's 15, especially where I live in the East Bay, oh my God, there's 15-year-old kids that throw 87 to 92 miles an hour. Like, there's a kid on, so Mateus Johnson, the kid that you and I both worked with, there's a freshman on their freshman team who is committed to Arizona. So the way that that school works, they don't bring up anybody unless they're 100% going to change the culture. Everyone goes freshman, JV, varsity. There's a freshman committed to Arizona throwing 90 miles an hour, right? There's a guy on the JV team throwing 90 plus, right? That's not even varsity, right? So if you think when you're 12, Mateus is 15, going to be 16 soon, you think in 3 years you can go from hitting 68 to 88 with the same mechanics? You're going to quit baseball, and you're going to think baseball is stupid because you're not set up to play the game the right way.
Totally.
It makes me sad because there's so many kids out there that, like, they quit, or they're not able to, like, there's one kid that I'm working with. He is 6 feet tall, 110 pounds, wants to play high school baseball.
Uh-oh. Lost you. Lost audio. Lost you. Lost audio. I don't know what happened.
Sorry, I had a call. Sorry, I had hit X out on the call. So
we missed the you have to start over.
So there's an 11-year-old kid, or a 14. No, he's 14-year-old. He's going to be in high school next year. Skin and bone, real tall. And one of the things that he told me was, I want to play high school baseball next year. And I was like, that's awesome. Now, let me tell you something real. And I wasn't trying to be mean. I was like, we're hitting on a Little League field on hit tracks, and you're struggling to hit it over the second baseman's head right now. We have to change that if you want to play high school baseball. And he looked at me like, not concerned, but like someone was real with him for the first time. I was like, I want you to play high school baseball, but you're not going to make it past the first day right now. We have to work harder. You have to swing harder. You have to move faster. You have to do all these things. And it's been about 2 months now. He's up to about 160 feet now, right? And he's hitting the ball with some vigor, right? So it's taken several months. Some vigor. Love that word. So he's taken a few months, but with him, and this goes to what Matt messaged in and what you and I talked about, he doesn't move well, and he's too skinny at the same time to where I can just give him something heavy and say, figure it out, right? So it's like, at this age, what I'm doing with this guy is really teaching him almost like, hey, you got to know how to hit the ball this far, then we can start working on mechanics. But let's just figure out how you can do this, and then we'll talk about it. And now he's at this point where, hey, you know how you did that and hit the ball 180 feet? Do this, and you'll hit it farther. But just like how you coach Taylor, man, I loved what you said to Taylor. You got to throw hard enough to make somebody want to watch you. Like, the ultimate compliment in BP is when nobody's talking when you're hitting. That is the coolest thing ever. All you hear is whack. Nobody's saying anything. Whack. That's how you know that guy rakes. So if people want to watch you, that's probably one of the best compliments you could receive as an athlete, right? So, dude, my dog is snoring like a bear back there. Like, how I would like for people to understand, like, my goal, and I'm up in Pleasanton, right? I love John. Found this dude like a year plus, maybe 18 months ago. Not sure. But John has worked with my players. He's worked with myself. He has inspired me to do tons and tons of stuff. And one of the main things that like you've done has strictly been like, let's pay attention to how we win the game. Like, let's just do that. Like, how did you strike that guy out? Do it again. Right? Like, it's that simple action of paying attention. Like, that's all it is. Like, it's not, hey, stay back, get ready for the curveball, you know? Or like, hey, head out in front, get ready for the fastball. No, hey, be in a good position to hit. That's what it is. Like, it's right in between that because, and I know I'm definitely talking a lot. People are probably like, dude, this guy doesn't shut up. But I'm fired up, guys. Real fired up. Like, yesterday I was doing power hitting, right? Doing my power hitting at TPC. And I was explaining to these kids, like, why high velocity matters. I saw, I think it was the Angels playing, it was on Sunday Night Baseball. But anyways, somebody hit a ball like 108 and it was caught. And the announcer goes, you know, the batting average on balls hit over 105 miles an hour is like 780, right? And so what did you talk about with Mike Trout? He hits the ball harder than people and he hits it farther than people. Weird. Why does he hit with such a high average? He hits the ball hard and he hits it far. And so I've been explaining that to kids and they kind of look at me like the first couple times like I'm smoking something crazy. They're like, dude, that is the craziest thing I've ever heard. I'm like, is it? Is it? Like, if I hit a rocket at you, one hop right at your feet, you got to make a hell of a play to pick that, right? Or you got to body it up, right? Most people, unless it's right at them, they're not going to make that play. They're going to botch it. It's going to hit their glove, and it can, it'll go past them, right? I had this kid, he jumped up, I think, 13 miles an hour with one of the bats that we use. It's like a 60-ounce penny bat. And the main thing I told him was, hey, your goal is to not crash the ball, right? Like you can't create force. It's just like throwing. You can't, because someone had just told him like, be strong. And then I was just like, bro, be a whip. He went up like 14 miles an hour. Like that's crazy. And all I did was tell him something different. I didn't physically change him. I just told him something different. So it makes me think, and you do this very well, you make me think quite a bit, how you say things to a developing player sticks with them a lot longer than you think. Like a lot longer than you think. And man, like I'm definitely on fire today. I'm just rattling. I can't stop. It's like man, it's like something doesn't click from like high school to like college baseball to pro baseball. You and I talk about this. Like, people assume you know what you're doing. People assume you know your game, you know what balls you hit well, you know where your swing goes. When you were telling me how you got rocked, when I was like, hey, when guys hit you hard, where do they hit you? And you were like, right center or this, blah, blah, blah. I was like, you know how much awareness that takes to like understand where you get beat? I was like, nobody taught you that. You had to learn that, right? But what if you did teach people that, right? Like, think about the awareness you can create. Oh, shit, you got Fernando Tatis's all over the place. You got these Mike Trouts all over the place.
You're going to get me fired up, too, because now you're just talking about the simplicity of maybe going over the spray chart with the pitchers on where the ball gets hit more often. That somebody's doing that gets put into a folder, that gets sent into the coach's bag, that gets put nowhere until the next series, which is the perfect time to go over last series' spray chart. Right. Exactly. All of that easy information to do. I know. Yeah, I'm with you. Well, and that's what Sabermetrics is really showing. That's why people keep doing the shift, right? And they're going to outlaw the shift, whatever. That's fine, right?
It's so dumb.
I know.
So dumb.
I know, it's so dumb. Like, don't create. Now you got to put like a weird line. Like, if a guy's like, oh, you got too many people on one side of the bag, like, or quit donkey kicking 0-2 pitches. All right. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like,
what are we doing here?
Yeah, like 0-2 donkey kick. All right. Let's see how this goes.
Sweet, dude. Like, you're,
Yeah.
and that's,
For all you kids at home, I'm going to go ahead and tell you how to beat a donkey kick. You just throw sliders. And if you really want to mess with them and there's nobody on, you pause your leg kick at the top, and they will forget how to hit. That's what will happen. They will forget how to hit. Just by doing a little bit of a and then there you go. And then, yes, throw them the whole time. Do not throw a fastball for a strike. Just continue to throw sliders. They will be mad, right? And you just have to remember this. There's no rule that says you have to throw a fastball. Nah.
Get your stupid macho, wacho, like, whatever it is. I don't know what that is. That's so dumb. It's like when someone complains, and I get it. It's like when someone complains, oh, he just took him down. He's beating him up. Stand up and fight like a man. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Why? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Why don't
Isn't
you
the object to not take damage? Yeah.
Like, it's so crazy about, like, dude, I told you earlier in the season, I was like, hey, yo, that Yordan Alvarez guy for the Astros, that dude rakes, right? Because the A's played the shift against him, like hard left-handed shift. He goes 3 for 3 the other way with a bomb, a double, and a single. Next day, straight as an arrow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they are aware that we don't got the firepower to swing it with these Astros. So, like, every once in a while, we got to go against the sabermetrics and just play the fucking game because the Astros are the king of sabermetrics, I think. Like, they're so good.
Why are they losing?
Oh, I think because they're not cheating.
Hold on, I have to.
Hey, last night, Ray Fosse said it on the A's game. He goes, how did Clayton Kershaw pitch against the Astros tonight? And they were like, he had 6 strikeouts, like no walks, 7 innings. He goes, weird. They didn't know what's coming. And one of the announcers goes, you got to let it go. And he was like, I can't let it go. It was hilarious.
Yeah. All right, they're not losing too bad. They're not the fucking Angels. They're 26 and 22 right now.
Sorry, Taylor.
No, let's go. Bring Taylor up now. Let's do it.
Let's go. Dude, Raisel Iglesias, I saw him give up 2 bad bombs trying to hold the A's. Like, bad bombs. Man. Oh, let's talk about this in winning a baseball game. Because this is definitely from the pitcher's point of view, less of the hitter's, catcher's point of view. So one of the things that I talk about with my hitters is following your miss, right? Like, yeah, you had a good miss, or you missed that ball, but you still hit it 250 feet. Did you hit it your hardest? No. Did you catch it? No. But let's travel with that. Like, what did you do right with that? And one thing that I used to do when I was catching would be like, let's say I call curveball first pitch, right? And he fucking backs it up, and it almost hits the right-handed dude in the face. Then I'm like, all right, I'm going to play with that. I'm going to go fastball in. Just to fuck with you, right? Is that something that you teach to younger guys to get that awareness up earlier? And how young would you teach that?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's as soon as we go into pitch theory and game theory, as soon as somebody can like competitively repeat pitches. That's a good way. You know what I mean? As soon as you've kind of mastered your slider, your cutter, your changeup, and your fastball, then when we go into batters, right? We start trying to educate. We're like, okay, you're gonna try to throw a fastball inside on people, and then you're going to miss, right? You're gonna miss arm side, you're gonna miss up, right? So if you miss arm side, if you have a slider, that's a great time to throw a slider off that tunnel, or throw another fastball inside. If you miss up, throw the curveball or the fastball inside again and see what happens. You know, there's just like really unique ideas that you don't see a lot. Like, for example, double up fastballs up, right? As soon as you go fastball up 0-2 after 2 curveballs, what's the hitter thinking right there? Probably curveball after he did that, right? Well, you can go fastball up again, and he's going to have to honor that. Oh, he's probably going to swing it and cheat and then be underneath it, right? So there's just all of those games to get into. So once you understand, it's literally not about throwing strikes. It's about getting people to get themselves out the easiest way possible, and it's just hard to teach that. You know, not a lot of people can, because you got to think about it. It takes so many hours, right? It takes so many at bats. It takes 7 months worth of at bats to start understanding like what you're good at, what you're not good at, right? but you can't evaluate that if you're trying to win a tournament and beat someone, you know, in a day, you know?
Yeah.
There's just, it's just, you don't get the feedback you need, because what's really hard is facing the same guy 10 at bats in a row and getting him out. That's hard. Because at what at bat does the guy start figuring it out? Because I feel like the better you are, you could see two ABs and be like, all right, I know what we're doing.
Yeah, I remember one at bat where that kind of popped up. I was facing a Pirates guy, like a AAA Pirates guy, when I was at Driveline. First at bat, this dude made me look stupid. Like, he went 94 on the hands, and I fouled it off, but it was on the handle. Like, I wasn't close. Everyone was like, ooh. And I was like, bitch, you almost broke my bat. Everyone's all excited. But he made me look terrible on sliders. And I was like, so that's your out pitch. Okay. But you like to set it up with that running fastball. I got into an 0-2 count against that guy, and I almost took him deep oppo because he threw that slider, and I was just so into it because I was, like, following what he was doing and, like, tracking his misses.
Mm-hmm.
But granted, it's a fly out. But I just remember being on that ball because, dude, his slider broke so hard. And my first at bat, I had a donkey kick. I remember, like, having a real big donkey kick because I was like, this dude's got 95. I'm taking him yardo. And then he threw me the shuto, and I was done, son.
The shuto.
The shuto. And I was
that's a great reference, Mr. Baseball, for all you real baseball movie fans.
Man, Tom Selleck in that movie is like such a 1980s baseball player.
I know, but it's a great flick. It's a great flick.
Great flick. One of the best quotes: "Time no die, only people die." And Tom Selleck looks at him and is like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
You're quoting a movie. You're quoting a movie from before you were born. That's impressive.
I love that. Well, it's because my dad. Come on, my dad's 62. You know, like, he ain't gonna raise no kid who doesn't know the 80s, right? So, last thing, because I gotta get bouncing here, but I wanna ask you another question about player development when it comes to the masses, right? What are some things that a 12-year-old that wants to play high school baseball could do from a general baseball standpoint, in your opinion, to give them more awareness?
You know, compare yourself to what the big leaguers are doing. Like, really compare yourself, right? What's your fastball velo, right? What's your hitting distance? What's your running speed, right? Like, those things that you can measure that are easily understandable, like, those are the things that will help you understand where you are. Once velo is put on the screen, like, they're going to do a spin rate here in just a minute, right? Where they're just going to drop it on us, right? I remember seeing velo for the first time, and that's all I wanted to see. It was only on ESPN, and then you run over to TBS, and it wasn't there, and you'd be like, oh, right?
So
you go over to Baseball Tonight, and you'd be like, he's throwing 92, you know, or that pitch was 76, and you're just like, I don't know what that means, right?
Yeah.
And now we know. Like, now you can watch somebody throw a pitch. You don't even have to watch where it goes or what it does. You just look at the speed and be like, oh, well, this guy throws 95. It was 76. It's probably break ball, right? Some kind of spinner, right? So you understand for what it is. And the more you can educate yourself on how people are actually being evaluated, like, it's just, you can just go look at the Perfect Game website and they'll show you. They'll put it in front of you. You can just go look at it. And that's, what are the leaderboards? What are the leaderboards in order? Maybe those are the ones you should probably pay attention to. You know?
It's super important.
This is important, right? Whoever put this new article called the Unwatchables, interesting as well, right? I don't know what that is, but
I'll have to read that. Well, I think he was talking about that when we were talking about the shifting and all that.
Yeah, and that's probably by a writer that you need to shut your mouth. That's what it sounds like. The Unwatchables. Are you going to be negative against the game of baseball again? You absolute rookie.
I saw something. Was it you and I that were talking? Like, somebody sent me an art. Oh, no, it was my dad and I. Jock Peterson got traded to the Cubs, and somebody posted this article saying, Jock Peterson falls from grace. Will he ever recover again? And I'm just like, bro, he just won a World Series last year, and he hit a bomb in every single series. And then the day that they wrote that, he hit 2 jacks. So it's like Kevin Millar, 2004, Red October, that one curly-headed fuck that interviews him, and he's like, remember when he called us a bunch of imposters? And you called the Red Sox a bunch of imposters, you know?
Yeah.
We're just a bunch of imposters. We just want to lose, you know? We don't ever want to play the game right, you know? It's just like the power that the Hall of Fame voters never played past high school baseball. I wish that would change. I wish the Hall of Fame was voted on guys that are in the Hall of Fame that are alive. That would be the best. Because those are the guys that know the standards, right? Like, imagine if the Heisman Trophy winners picked the Heisman. It'd be fucking cool. Because they would be like, yeah, that guy's legit. You know, like, but all these sports writers, it's like, well, back in my day, I was in the 74. It's like, bro, you haven't played baseball or football or whatever it was since, you know, whatever. So
it's why audio and video is going to take over. That's why it's important for us to have this podcast and keep expanding on it, because we can talk about baseball because we've played it at a really high level and we've seen it and we know the game. But if you have sports writers that can't explain the spin axis or the technique or whatever's actually happening because they haven't done it, then
or how to beat that.
Yeah, exactly. Like you don't talk about the problem. Don't talk about the problem. We don't need to talk about the problem. We know what the problem is. The game's slow. The game isn't
Twitter
wrong.
fingers.
It's slow. Right.
Twitter fingers, bro. Twitter fingers turn into trigger fingers. You know what I mean?
How come the NCAA plays 9-inning games in under 2.5 hours? How come that happens? It's a 9-inning game. Real confused.
Right. Well, hey, brother, I got to get going. We'll do this again next week, all right?
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Later, guys.
Thanks. Subscribe, like. We'll have this on YouTube and everywhere here soon. See ya.